Hey, howdy, party people. I know it's been a few minutes since I actually uploaded something. I apologize for that. I am working on a video. The holidays and everything, it got a little crazy, but it's officially 1 week until the game comes out. 1 week. And I'm pretty sure I just got approved for my time off for work. And at the same time, Simon just said, don't bother taking it off work because the servers are probably gonna have problems, and you're gonna have a hard time getting into the game. Which, hey, you know, I'm glad he's being straightforward about it. But yeah, that's pretty big. 1 week. So if you aren't aware, currently the version of the game that we're getting with the early access launch is going to be using what they refer to as World Gen V1. That's the procedural generation system that's been in Hytale for a very long time. It looks pretty great, but they felt that they could do better, so they've been working on what they refer to as World Gen V2. So today they released the World Gen V2 blog post. They've been teasing this blog post for a little while. Simon was saying that it was getting close the other day, but he wanted to add some more screenshots and clips to illustrate the points made in it. And I have already read it through, but we're going to go through it. It's going to blow you away. It's absolutely breathtaking. So why don't we have a look here? Hello, I'm Dan, the World Generation Engineer here at Hytale. Today I'll be joined by Amber, one of our designers. We'll be taking you through our world generator today through the lenses of engineering and design. In this post, we want to discuss where we are right now and where we're going. Currently, we have 2 world generators in Hytale. V1 was developed from 2016 to 2020 and served as a prototype to understand our generation's needs. It produces playable results in exploration mode, but we eventually ended up hitting barriers when we tried to create more zones and more complex biomes. V2 has been in development since 2021 to address barriers we previously faced and enable us to achieve our global design goals. V2 will completely replace V1 once we're ready, and will be the generator we support going forward. That's interesting. I'd thought V2 was more of a recent development, but they say here since 2021. So that's curious. But you'll see over the course of this blog post, it shows that it's been around that long, because it's pretty advanced. It's crazy. Hytale will launch with exploration mode on V1 because it already has many biomes and content ready to go. We're now in the process of creating Orbis on V2. Once completed, V2 will become the primary world generator, and you will enter the new world of Orbis. V1 will eventually stop generating chunks, but your old V1 worlds will still be accessible. In the meantime, players will be able to see and experience V2 content that is under construction by visiting fragments of Orbis through gateways in exploration mode. Then, once we are ready, we'll begin testing in a pre-release build for the world of Orbis. So, we will have World Gen V1 in its current state as the main generation in early access launch. But V2, which after seeing everything we're about to see, you're going to be pretty excited about, most likely. You can experience it in some capacity. So Simon's been teasing a lot of stuff with these portals and something to do with the echoes of Orbis and these crystals. So it appears that is pretty integrally tied into World Gen V2. Now, whether or not these little fragments of Orbis, as they call them, are infinite or not, that's what I'm curious to find out. If you enter one of these, well, I think there was a time limit on one of those portals, wasn't there? So, I guess that's probably the limiting factor, but how far can you go? I'm curious to find out. Because if it's just an infinite World Gen V2, like, taiga biome, that's pretty cool, you know? I'd be curious to see how that comes out. Now, next they have a short video. There's going to be a lot of short clips in this, so let's give that a watch. Alright. You see a nice little camp setup with a bedroll, a fire, and some food. And just some gorgeous Zone 3 generation. Absolutely lovely. Lots of pillaring straight up. Gonna make the sides of those mountains so much uglier. That's a guarantee. Well, who knows? Maybe we got some traversal options. Got a nice little river there. 2 different types of trees. You can see there's trees on the side of the mountain. That's pretty remarkable. Huh? God, the water looks so nice, doesn't it? Oh, there's an owl. a lot of logs just kind of just sitting in the top of the water. That's nice. Got some caverns going through the mountain. Crazy skybox. Works beautifully with the atmospheric perspective in the distance. That sort of blue haze that you see. That's absolutely lovely. So some kind of glowing torched up thing on the right. There's also a small structure at the end of the valley here. No idea what that is. But yes, that little video looks pretty good, doesn't it? Let's see here. Next we got another one. Let's see here. So another Zone 3 look. This one is about erosion. It's not erosion that happens in real time, mind you. It's an erosive effect. It's a simulated effect. But it looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, doesn't this just look like it'd be a fun place to build on top of the cliff up here or down in the middle of the valley next to the river? You'll see a nice bear sitting there, some ore sticking out of the ground. Pretty nice. It's interesting to see ore generation in World Gen V2. Looks like there's another cave down there. It's pretty varied, and it looks absolutely fantastic. So that was a flyover showing an erosion effect at the transition between the river and forest biomes. Hytale's world was always intended to be curated and procedural. This means designers have significant control over what appears in the world and how, even though it's procedural. This shaped many of the decisions we made in World Gen V2, including giving designers even greater control than before over how content appears in the world. This would include ways for us to better balance resource distribution, breadcrumbing, and signposting meaningful content, and much more. A great example of this in V2 is the pattern scanning system. The idea is that we can configure a pattern that determines where props are placed in the world. Typically, we would search for a floor, an empty block with a solid block below. We can also add additional checks to the pattern search to gather more context from the environment. These patterns are fully defined by the creator, which makes this powerful and opens vast possibilities. Got a little bit of a screenshot here. So this is a tree with dark leaves and large roots only spawns above caves. This allows us to mark where caves are for players. So here you see a really cool part of this World Gen system where a tool that they have lets them accomplish two things. A very cool lived-in world in addition to a practical gameplay designed world. Obviously, this is just one example, but I feel like there's probably going to be other examples of this, and it's going to be really cool to pick up on these sorts of things when we're playing the game and see all these tips and tricks. Like, hey, you know, if you see one of those trees, the roots have to spawn in a cave. There's probably a cave below it. That's going to be a really cool little tidbit for the community to share around. So stuff like that's going to be just super cool to discover over the course of the first few months of the game. Probably even for the first year. Here we can see that ash trees spawn above caves in the deep root biome because they are configured to sample for empty blocks beneath the ground when placed. This is a fun detail but allows designers to create something we call heuristics. This refers to deeper patterns that enhance immersion and give gameplay advantages. In this example, players can learn that deep root caves, which contain special resources, are found under dark ash trees on the map in the Plains region. There are many examples of these patterns across our generator, allowing designers to communicate with the player in new, immersive ways you might not expect. That's so exciting. What a fun and whimsical idea that is, and just so very practical, and at the same time, so aesthetically pleasing. You know, there's a lot to love here, and we're only getting started. So then we see another screenshot here. A log bridge spawns across a river by searching for two shores. Talking about this one right here. Again, just such a cool idea, and I don't want to make this a Hytale versus Minecraft discussion, but you know, I just feel like stuff like that would have always been appreciated in Minecraft, but the tools were so difficult to work with for people that you could do this a little bit, but not to the extent that we're seeing here, and not as organically as we're seeing here. If this is what the devs can do after, you know, tinkering for a few weeks and trying to give us some examples, imagine what some people with unlimited free time and a lot of passion can do over the course of a year or two. This game is going to have the craziest mods ever. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, and that's the vision, right? So I think it's, so far, there's a lot of signs saying that it's going to attain that vision, and I think that's pretty cool. Here we have another screenshot. A yellow mushroom and some sticks spawn on the ground around the base of some cedar trees. Again, you know, this just looks really nice. This looks really natural. This is the sort of thing that you would see in a non-voxel game, you know, easily enough. But to see it in a voxel game and with the amount of control available here is pretty breathtaking. You also see there's a like some borers back there and some stones on the shore here, which I think is probably also World Gen V2 at work, right? And another screenshot here. Glowing mushrooms that only appear in sheltered areas. This cave system looks so cool. This is really neat. Again, a really cool use of the tools they have. And then we have a meadow of flowers spawns in a dip surrounded by small trees and boulders. So this is really cool. So it's like the opposite of a clearing in an otherwise very open biome. That's really neat to see. Now, just imagine what all of these will look like once those tools can easily implement prefabs and whatnot too. It's gonna be pretty remarkable. It's gonna be pretty remarkable. Code mods. With V2's APIs, WorldGen programmers can implement mods that automatically work with the node editor and plug into other vanilla and modded features. V2's architecture enables the development of strong capabilities by implementing simple, interconnected components. Players and creators can seamlessly integrate features from different mods and the base game. Modders will be able to tweak, extend, and add functionality to customize existing WorldGen, such as Orbis, or create new ones. That's really cool. I love the idea of just modifying the existing world or starting from scratch. That's pretty damn cool, ain't it? Of course, I think this opens a lot of questions about compatibility between different mods that affect WorldGen. I will just have to wait and see ultimately, but I'm curious to see how that plays out. Our APIs are also automatically multi-threaded and provide full read access to the surrounding world context, simplifying logic and freeing up mod developers to focus on capabilities. For this blog post, we're focusing on our goals and overall direction. We'll go into more detail on the technical details after launch. That's another thing is, you know, there's a lot of moving pieces here. Don't feel overwhelmed. It's a lot, but a lot of it will probably click once we have our hands on the game and we can mess with it. And once we see the kind of mods and official content that is made with these tools, it's gonna make a lot more sense what it means to have them. You know what I mean? Creating content. Anyone can create content and modify WorldGen without knowing how to code, as V2 could be edited directly in our node editor. Creators can get started with just a few tutorials and some time to practice. We believe we'll see creators discover new techniques and tricks for creating content that we didn't even think of, further expanding what could be done with WorldGen. With our visual node editor, creators can build advanced procedural content by configuring and linking simple nodes. When editing WorldGen, the world live reloads in-game to reflect the changes made within the editor. This is all to make creating advanced biomes easier and faster, bridging the gap between developers and creators. That's awesome that you can see it in real time. I mean, what do you even say to that? If you had asked me if that was a remote possibility, I would have said no. I would have said there's no way they could ever do that. With assets, it's difficult. It's really impressive that they got that, but with WorldGen, that's crazy. That's huge. There's another video here. All right. So you see the node editor as well as the world behind it. It's already too complicated for me. Curve points. So that's probably referring to the actual shape of this biome that they're modifying, which is the one seen in stone. Then they modify the height just a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. It's pretty cool you can just do that, you know? I mean, that's a huge change to be made with just one number change, right? You know, all of this kind of brings me back to the good old days of Little Big Planet, you know? Messing with the music and the behavior and everything. That was kind of a node-based system in its own right. So if you've played Little Big Planet, it's a little bit like that. Only a little, though. It's obviously very much its own thing. But, okay, there we go. Modifying the height back down, but not all the way. So you can see in some areas, it's more of a gradual incline, whereas in others, it's a very sharp incline. So I wonder how much you can control the variance of that, if it's like just a percentage-based thing, or if it's a little bit more nuanced. In any case, pretty cool, right? Also just seeing a nice little look at some of the surrounding area here in Zone 1. Persistence, okay. Sorry, I don't necessarily have a lot to say about this because it's a little bit technical, but it's very impressive. This looks really comfortable to work in, you know? You can move these out as much as you need, organize them however you want, color code them. That's pretty cool. I assume they're probably color coded by default, but okay, so you plug in different materials. Solid and fluid. What, no gas? No non-Newtonian nothing, you know? A creator has created a basic biome in Emerald Wilds and is editing the terrain. Creators can control each biome's terrain shape independently and with high precision. In between biomes, the terrain shape transitions from one to the other, blending features seamlessly. Biomes can also customize their terrain as it approaches the edge to customize biome transitions further. That is extremely cool. Because, you know, we've seen a fair bit of World Gen V1 at this point, and it looks pretty great, but the biome transitions, you know, they're good, they're fine, they're serviceable, but personally, it's one of the few things where I was like, I feel like they could improve on that. And here they are doing just that. And it doesn't appear to be much trouble for them, huh? Of course, they make it look easy, but I can only imagine the amount of work that actually went into this. And we got another video here. Okay, so we're modifying curve points again. Saving, so then it updates in real time after he saves, right? There it is, loading in. Modifying in real time, man, that is crazy. So that, as you can see, that is modifying the kind of texturing here. And I mean, this looks absolutely gorgeous. It's crazy what this game is capable of. If I can even call it a game, it's almost an engine in and of itself, right? I think another thing cool about this is that Hytale just visually supports all kinds of different looks, and this looks just as fantastic as this did, you know? I mean, this is, obviously it's pretty uniform. There's absolutely no variation. It's very symmetrical. Still, you know, I mean, it's fine, but, you know, the visuals support it as best they can, but then you get to this, and it's pretty remarkable. That looks really, really good, in my opinion. It's gonna be interesting to see what people do with this. That one is captioned, adding natural rocky surface to a cliff. Creators can fully control which materials the terrain is made of by assembling material provider nodes. Material providers function as logic nodes with configurable rules and terrain context, such as block depth below ground or the amount of empty space above ground. So we've got an underground scenario here with bits of light poking through. And it's very much multi-layered, but it's all grass. You'll see here that changes in a minute when a lot of the blocks that are not given sunlight, basically, a lot of the ones that are obscured vertically by blocks above them, all that grass turns to dirt. But I'm just wondering, like, can you almost kind of do, like, 50-50 chance, like, soft edges on it a little bit, you know? I wonder if there's going to be that level of control. But even this is pretty remarkable, you know? And the end product looks really nice. That one's captioned, grass material is restricted to not spawn where there is less than 10 blocks of air above. With props, creators can generate localized content such as POIs, vegetation, and decorations with precise control over their placement rules and distribution in the world. Props are distributed on a custom procedural point grid, and at each point, a customizable set of rules determines the best placement. The content generated by props can be sourced from prefabs or more procedurally, depending on the creator's approach. Yeah, I will say that's the one thing we don't get a lot of in this blog post that I would like to see is how do prefabs and POIs play into all this. I would be very curious to see how that system works. But of course, I guess that's something that's not necessarily as unique to Hytale, so I can understand why they want to focus on all of the other unbelievable things they have to show us. Alright, so we see a Zone 1 biome here, just a regular old forest. And we're changing to some density on there. Oh, it's tree density. Oh, look at that. Just seeing them all pop in like that is very satisfying. That's so cool. I love seeing that happen. It's just unbelievable that you can do this in real time. That's going to make things a lot easier. That one's captioned, increasing the size of forest patches by editing the tree location mask. We've designed the assets that create the world to allow creators to add and edit terrain, props, biomes, and zones as easily as we do. Each biome is treated as a separate tile, like a jigsaw within a zone puzzle, and each zone is treated as its own tile in the patchwork that makes up the world. This means adding new biomes or content such as prefabs should be straightforward as we're giving you all the tools we use to create whatever you want. That level of parity with dev tools is almost unheard of, especially in this genre. Additionally, every single biome that we use in Orbis will be shared with the community. You'll be able to use the node editor to view, modify, and have fun with all the content we made and mix it with your own creations. The following is a set of experimental feature pack examples. These do not reflect the content that will exist in Adventure. This is interesting because we're talking about Adventure mode a little bit, and I think World Gen V2 obviously is good to see its greatest application outside of community-made content in adventure mode. But also just hearing them talk about how, we're going to make a strong core string of content, and you guys can do whatever you want with it, and you have full access to it, because what reason is there to gatekeep? And it's going to be so good for learning these tools and just developing, amateur creators. It's going to be a beautiful thing to see, and what a gift that is, So you see this absolutely gorgeous screenshot here, a close-up shot of an example terrain pack that explores a more chaotic stacked terrain idea. Excellent screenshot. Whoever took this, beautiful photography here. Really cool, really nerve-wracking, but just an interesting concept. I've never seen anything like it, And this does bring to mind that continuing conversation of, are they going to be able to increase the build height limit at some point? I mean, it's still good. It's definitely, it's fine for now. But, are they going to be able to get past that barrier? Maybe I missed a tweet. It's possible there's been a lot of them. But maybe I missed a tweet. Maybe they did say at some point. But I do hope that's a limitation they can break through at some point. That would be pretty monumental, or at least one they could push further anyway. Then we see another screenshot here. Lot going on here. It's a sprawling, very thick mass, and then the further in you go, that's where you get to more of the layered, stacked area. What a cool level of variance. So are these two biomes? Is that how you would classify it? I guess it must be. And yeah, just a big old space whale back there, good for him. Okay, so we just see it with some ambient leaf effects and the whale in motion back there. That's pretty interesting. Now, notably the whale, Thomas Frick, I believe, one of the main artists on the game, replied to a post to this saying, I just put up that blog post and I said, we don't scale the models up and down. You can't just scale things willy-nilly. And there's Simon goes scaling this thing like 1,000 times. But it looks pretty cool, don't it? So it's kind of cool how he's able to repurpose something like this just just for a cool effect, just for the hell of it, just to say, hey, here's what's possible, you know? This world gen's cool, but what if you add some moving pieces? You know, it's a nice touch. This would be a great place to try out the grappling hook. I'll say that much. It's giving Terraria Otherworld vibes for any of you out there that are a victim of Terraria Otherworld hype. Now, there's a game that was not saved. A wide shot of an example terrain pack that explores a more chaotic stack terrain idea. I believe that's the same caption as as it had above. We got a screenshot here of a dire docks looking environment that's all underwater with a pirate ship and some more whale friends. It looks really cool, just the vibrancy of the colors and everything. It's really nice, really unique visual style. You'll love to see it. I know there's a lot of people out there that are deeply invested in the oceans and aquatic content of Hytale, so here's a little something for you guys. That's nice, ain't it? And that one is captioned, a complex of underwater caves features bracket coral and a shipwreck. Then you have this one captioned, an example terrain pack that explores an arches terrain theme. I'm not gonna lie, these look like sauropods, but this is awesome. This is gorgeous. This is up my alley. Super cool looking. Really fun idea. This makes me go crazy, man. I don't know what to do. It's just so exciting, you know? Seeing this in action, it's gonna bring tears to my eye. It really is, because it's something super special. You know, we got something fascinating and powerful on our hands, and it's gonna be a big deal. Maybe not immediately, but it's gonna be a big deal. And you see some kind of pterosaurs here, very colorful, very pretty. Can't wait to meet them myself. You know, it's a good idea to have a pet. And then this one captioned an example terrain pack that explores a floating island theme. Well, I know everybody's a sucker for floating islands. It looks pretty great. The shadows is so cool, man. That's so cool. It looks great. It just looks fantastic. I mean, this is just like something that they whipped up just to be like, hey, this is something you could do. You could sit down and add details and a whole visual style, and you could use custom assets. That's that's another thing, is everything they're doing here is just with the vanilla assets. Imagine what you can do once you start adding a whole bunch of stuff of your own. It's gonna be a pretty big deal. All right, here we got another video. It's procedural, experimental procedural rings. It's very, very Stargate coded, but a very different environment to anything we've seen so far. Really cool looking though. You know, it kind of, not just Stargate, it kind of reminds me of Dr. Manhattan, but definitely pretty unsettling. The particle effects in the air, that's pretty cool. But yeah, you're missing a DHD here. But yeah, pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. Looks good, looks good. Now this is a nice example of something kind of more fantastical you can do that's maybe a bit more of a standout from the classic Hytale world that we know. Going forward, keep in mind that we are in early access. Many systems are still under active development, and the asset structure will change frequently as we complete core features over the coming months. We'll deprecate features being replaced where possible rather than remove them suddenly, because it's important to us to support creators in the same way we support our designers. As part of our push to support creators at every step, we'll publish first-party tutorials, guides, and documentation to train the community alongside us. These will cover everything from gritty world generation concepts and specific techniques used by designers to in-depth systems, documentation, and best practices for performance optimization. Over the short term, we'll be focusing on performance improvements, upgrading existing features, and making the asset structure more modular and flexible. In the long run, we'll be planning a ton of really cool features, such as procedural rivers and paths, guiding players and connecting places, procedural architecture for generating dungeons, ruins, and buildings, organically growing fauna to increase diversity and coherence, waterfalls, and more. Community feedback and suggestions will directly shape the future of Hytale's world generator. All of those things sound awesome. Yes, please. I'll take 10. What is there to even say? I'm speechless. It's procedural dungeons are on the table, and a priority for them. I do wonder if they mean flora. It's generally flora you would grow, not fauna. I don't know if that's a typo or if they are just talking about like mob spawning, which I'm curious to see how that works in this game because I don't like the way Minecraft handles it. Every time I play, it's like, okay, well, the 3 cows that spawned in this biome for all eternity have wandered into a pit somewhere, and I'm not gonna find them, you know? I'm curious to see how that works in this game. But they do also talk about the rivers and paths, connecting places. Dude, all paths lead to Rome. That's crazy. That's fantastic. That makes me really happy to hear. And waterfalls. Who doesn't love waterfalls? Come on. Don't be ridiculous. And last but not least, our designers will be working to release a content-complete Orbis in the new generator. This means we'll be hard at work creating new prefabs, biomes, regions, and zones with that new car smell for everyone to explore and enjoy. Until then, we'll catch you in the next World Gen blog. In the meantime, enjoy some snapshots of our work-in-progress biomes aimed at a future adventure release. Plains-focused biomes in the Emerald Wilds. Looks excellent. And it does look better than World Gen V1. It is a significant step up. There's sort of a language to it that's less chaotic, more nuanced, and it's just beautiful. But as I've always said, I love how just beautiful the colors are, how vibrant everything is in Hytale. It's not afraid of having a personality. And it looks good. It looks really good. Taiga-focused river biomes in Whisper Frost Frontier. Again, looks great. Really, this is an area I feel that this World Gen is going to excel in at a pretty early stage. This is cool to have already. No mods needed. This looks great. A wide shot of a range of biomes in Whisper Frost Frontier. So you can kind of see the biome transition a little bit here. But the overall palette looks perfect together. It's very natural. It's coherent. And it just looks nice. The sense of scale is also really cool here. But I mean, that's the thing is, you know, we're looking at the world a lot. Imagine what you're going to build here, you know? That's what I like to do, is I like to look at these kinds of screenshots and go, how would I use that space? What would I do with it? And how many explosives can I pack into that mountain? How many would it take to just completely level it flat, you know? These are the important questions. A trunk is generated procedurally using terrain and a positions field. Yeah, that's the trunk of a little bit of a large tree. Definitely larger than any of the ones in my yard. I'm certain of that. But, yeah, this looks incredible. The roots look a little bit like spider legs. It's only a little bit disturbing. And the side of the tree, right here, almost looks like it's glowing with runes or something, which is interesting. That might not. I might be picking up something that ain't there though. But it looks incredible. Large standing stones are procedurally generated using terrain and a positions field in the Whisper Frost Frontier. Nah, I'm okay. Whatever's going on here, I'm alright. I'm gonna keep my distance from the 2 eyeball pillars. I don't need that. A lush oasis lies hidden in the Howling Sands. So here you have just a huge valley surrounded by mesas. And this is obviously very reminiscent of that classic shot from the original Hytale trailer. But this makes Zone 2 look so much better than it did before. I'm a little curious about this little hut here. But, yeah, no, this is really cool. This looks awesome. I would love to build something here. Then you have yellow trees spawning only around rivers in the Howling Sands. And that they are. And how nice does that look? Again, it's the perfect palette. You see some trees growing up on top of that hill, too. They're a little bit different. And you see a camel running around over here. Really nice flat mesa. It's a pre-leveled spot for you to build a little house. Or an outpost. An important note from Simon. As I mentioned publicly a few days ago, this new approach to World Gen will redefine the block game genre. For the first time, artists and game designers can take full ownership of world generation, with complete control over the final result. This is a fundamental shift away from a world shaped almost solely by programmers. With that in mind, I'm pleased to announce that we're planning to expand the Hytale team with a new job role that, for the most part, has not existed in block-based games before: World Designer. Following the early access release, we plan to expand our team by hiring more than 15 world designers. These roles will be filled primarily from the community, as artists and game designers learn and build using the same tools we use internally and choose to apply. Hytale's vision is to feel carefully handcrafted while remaining infinitely procedural, with design always serving gameplay first. We are intentionally expansive, just as we envisioned years ago. Beyond Orbis, we plan to explore alternate worlds, new dimensions, and entirely different spaces. These worlds give us room to introduce new blocks, items, prefabs, zones, regions, biomes, NPCs, quests, stories, and gameplay systems. Not every concept will ship, but together they represent the direction we're taking as we continue to expand the game. The echoes of Orbis and Orbis are just the beginning of an amazing journey. I'll take that job. That sounds like a pretty good job to me. That sounds like fun. That sounds interesting. I'd be game for that. I don't have any skills, but I'd be game for it. Then Simon hits us with a bit of a big one here. He just re-includes the old concept art for the altar verses. Now, if you've been following this game for a long time, you're probably familiar with the altar verses. All we know about them is in this image. This is all we have. It's just this concept art. Him sharing this doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to adhere closely to this, but it's definitely interesting. You know, these have been on a lot of people's minds for a long time. I think doing something like this is very much close at hand now with World Gen V2. And I'd be curious to see them use these ones in particular, but we know so little about them that, you know, if they want to stray from this, if that's where their hearts lead them, I'm not going to be mad about it. All we know about Carpac is it's a green swirly planet. That could be anything. It could be a rotten cinnamon roll world. There's no telling. But, yeah, kind of interesting that he would throw this in there, because, yeah, obviously a lot of the concept art is just that, concept art. And that's a lot of the information we've had to work off of for many years. So a lot of our assumptions about the game are probably pretty untrue, like he's been talking about with the lore, but also with other stuff. But this one, pretty clearly on the top of his mind, I guess. And that's cool, you know. I mean, it's not a priority right now, and that's fine. But yeah, I'd love to see other worlds and dimensions and stuff later on. I think that's a good use of this system that they have built. All right, so that is it for the World Gen V2 blog post. It's pretty remarkable. I'm personally very impressed. I don't know what I was expecting, but everything that they showed looks incredible. I don't have a full understanding of the tools, but what I do understand has me thinking this is going to be a huge deal, and we're going to get to see it in 1 week. Think about that, 7 days, not even. So that's a pretty big deal. There are less days remaining before the game comes out than we waited years. And that's saying something, because it was a lot of years. But it's finally going to be in our hands. It's about time. But yeah, I had to cover this immediately because it just looks so good. And there's a couple other things that might be coming out, little bits of news, but again, I am still working on that other video. I'm gonna try and get it out. I am still busy, but you know, if it doesn't make it out and all that work goes to waste, oh well, I guess. You know, you can't win them all, but I'm gonna try and get that out soon. All right. And yeah, so that's today's blog post. There's been a little bit of other news. I might cover that in another video, but there hasn't been anything that is like super urgent. So at this point, it's just waiting for the game. I do want to talk about my launch plans for the game a little bit. I'm planning to have a LAN party with my family. I don't think I'll be recording it. I might get some B-roll, but I'm not planning to like make a big thing out of it. But I have 3 days off next week, from what I understand. So I have the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. Now I do have a lot of stuff I need to do around the house. I got to do a little bit of cleaning, get my setup taken care of. Hytale is really inspiring me to kind of get my shit together a little bit, and just take care of my space and try to be organized. And also make some upgrades, hopefully. to my setup. Trying to cable manage right now. That's a pretty big upgrade I'm working on. And yeah, so I'm gonna be doing that, but I will definitely have videos up within that first 24 hours if I can help it. Might even stream on YouTube. I've never done it, but might give it a shot. I'm not going back to Twitch. You could not drag me back there. But yeah, I'd like to do something. So you will see me next week. Don't worry. But yeah, it's gonna take a minute. Anyway, that's all I wanted to cover. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe if you so wish. And as always, I will catch you in the next one.